Let's begin the broadcast with some breaking inputs coming in. The residents of Iraqi capital Baghdad and Erbil, the capital of Iraq's semi-autonomous northern Kurdish region, heard explosions and the sound of air defenses intercepting incoming missiles or drones. Three Iraqi security officials said that a missile had landed on the helicopter landing pad in the U.S. Embassy complex in Baghdad. They also spoke on the condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to comment. Coming in from Baghdad and Erbil of explosions, loud explosions being heard, air defenses intercepting incoming missiles. Let's go across to our experts. Colonel Utkarsh Rathod, what do you make of the situation after Riyadh now? U.S. facility in Baghdad also being targeted?
Among the Gulf states, I think Iraq is the last one to be hit. And here there are two prime targets on Iran's radar. One is Erbil, because that is the Kurdish autonomous region, which is under heavy influence of America. And they are suspecting that there may be a ground operation from this side into Iran. Another is Baghdad and the place in Basra, where the oil facilities of Iraq are located. They are also being hit. So Iraq, Basra, Baghdad and Erbil are on the radar. They are being hit continuously for last 2 days. So Iraq is no longer on the side of Iran. And mind you, there is a credible proxy, Iraqi faction proxy supporting Iran. This is also there because for long this proxy has been providing conduit to the Hezbollah for transportation of weapons from Iran to Lebanon. This is the same conduit.
Let's also take a look at the visuals. We have some more breaking inputs coming in now. This is about the attacks that took place in Erbil. There are visuals coming to fore of the blasts that have happened. Smoke was seen rising at the Erbil airport site and 3 loud explosions were heard. Sirens blare across Erbil airport zone. Security alert in Iraq's Kurdish region now. So there are visuals that have come to fore on the big screen here. We are looking at those visuals. The moment of the strike and the impact of that was caught on camera. Visuals coming in from Erbil. Baghdad and Erbil, people there have reported hearing loud explosions, blasts taking place. And this is the airport region that we are looking at that came under attack. Now, we are talking about the Kurdish region, but Captain Saxena, what we hear is that the Iraqi Kurds are actually trying to resist pressure.
Right. So, if you really see, how the war is changing and geopolitical situation, we know they have got a air superiority, US has got the air superiority, but they cannot get their own soldiers as a boot on ground because that will have a heavy repercussion back home, right? It's not acceptable. So what now the next strategy seems to be, they are giving a lot of weapons to these Kurds and which have been totally against this, current regime of Iran. So both Kurds which are on the side of Iran, within Iran and on the side of Erbil towards Iraq, both of them been given a lot of heavy weapons and other ammunition, arms ammunition to plan a boot on ground operation. Iran knows this, that this can be the only situation. That's why they are trying to target the key installation including airport and the other installation in the Kurdish region. So that's a very natural step before it's like a preemptive strike because they know before they start an operation on ground against Iran, they just wanted to, bring them down. So that's a very natural thing, and I feel you will start seeing more attack on the Kurdish region because they are getting prepared for the ground level operation on Iran.
So we have more breaking inputs on the broadcast in terms of what's transpiring in the Gulf nations. You had the president apologizing and then you had Mr. Arakchi also extend that to the neighbors while saying that do not allow your facilities to be used by the United States of America. Meanwhile, Kuwait faces missile attack. So the Gulf nations reporting Iran's aggression. There is no letting down or de-escalation in terms of neighbors being attacked. Kuwait intercepts hostile attacks. Explosions were heard in Kuwait. Colonel Rathod, Iran was isolated. Now, Iran is trying to draw in everyone else. But is this going to backfire for Iran?
I think Iran in this particular situation, Iran had the only option which Iran is actually doing. What do you do if you have your neighbors who are housing your opponent's camps, and you have 5th Fleet headquarters there, you have Central Command headquarters there, and then you have a whole lot of Navy flotilla amassing there. So then you are left with very little choice. One is the subjugation, or you strike back. And the thing was that, seeing the might of America, Iran may not strike them. They were under this impression. But once the Iran struck, so now you see that there is a sizable moderation in their tone also. They are talking about brotherhood and everything. But Iran had no other choice. Had India been there, so India would have done the same thing. If your neighbors are housing your opponents and your enemies' camps, what can you do? And had Iran not acted like this, there would have been the aircrafts flying from their airfields and bombing Iran. So this is war, and I think Iran has acted very sanely, and this is the way it should be acted.
So this is retaliation also in self-defense, Captain Saxena. But like, I want to go back to that question. How will this play out for Iran? The neighbors, for how long will the neighbors continue to take this?
Correct. So I think Iran want to give a very clear message to neighbors that we are not against you. And if you really see, just 1 hour after getting their supreme leaders and top commander killed, they attacked on all the US air bases, because otherwise they were suspecting that they can be used for launching attack on Iran, and they were very, very close to the Iran. So that was the natural war strategy or battle strategy would have been. Now they also wanted to say that we are not against this Middle East country, and that's why when they see that some of these countries like Saudi and all started threatening that we will take the revenge and we will start action against Iran, they want to soften their stand. But within Iran also there are two stands. One is of hardliner who say no, we'll continue attacking because they are housing the assets of US, and if we don't do that proactively, they will be used against us, right? So that's their stand. But there are other moderate groups which are now saying that we need to, at least on this front, we have to soften down our stand and say we are not, now we have hit the assets of US, they can no longer use their air base, and we will not do till the time we see a active participation from these nations. So it's a kind of catch-22 situation.
Catch-22 for the neighbors as well, isn't it? They are also in a fix, Colonel Rathod, because yes, they'll keep intercepting these missiles, but if there ever comes a point to act in self-defense, the neighbors will choose to do that.
Neighbors have a very limited choice, and I must tell you that there is a deeply entrenched suspicion for Gulf nation with Iran. There is an enmity. Iran being a Shia state,
right,
and Iran being over ambitious in its nuclear program, missile program. Nobody wants in the Gulf countries, doesn't want Iran to acquire that status. That is why no Gulf country has ever come out in open to criticize US or ask US to moderate its strikes over Iran. And this rivalry will go on, because the Gulf states are Sunni countries, this is Shia country, and very deeply entrenched animosity and suspicion is already there, always been there, and it will not going to go like this.
So in a way, at the moment, at least peace does not have a chance, Captain Saxena?
Yeah, so if you really see, just to elaborate, what Colonel Rathod was saying, that Saudi Arabia, he's a leader of like Sunni Muslims, and they want to have they have to be seen as the leaders in that region. But obviously Iran was one which was Shia dominated and was, always threatening that place. So in a way, Saudi was totally kind of collaborated or acted with US to ensure that, dominance of Iran in that region is taken out, right? So if you see these kind of enmity, now it has come out in the open, but otherwise it was always there between Iran and Saudi as two sects, Shia and Sunni, fighting for the dominance in that region. And most of the other countries, they are Sunni dominated, so they are also supporting Saudi and US in that region. So Iran has acted as per, they were all kind of supporting US against Iran. But only thing is now Iran is kind of being targeted and little bit isolated, though they are getting some tactical support from China and US from Russia, but it is not in open, right? So it's been isolated.
That's also a very interesting angle in terms of, China being the most economic partner of Iran as well, Colonel Rathod. But China is also exercising a lot of caution, does not want to directly be involved. All that China has done so far has issued statements and condemnations and has offered to send special envoys for peace talks.
I think this is new normal in world politics these days. You see Ukraine war raging for last 4 years. Who has come to aid of Ukraine? They have only given material support, and they knew the moment they welcome him or take him in the NATO, then they have to invoke the clause and come to the aid of Ukraine. So everybody gives moral support these days, but Russia and China have been aiding Iran in a way that satellite imagery intelligence, which is also equally important in modern day warfare.
Right. Now, amidst all this, there's an update coming in that India has issued an advisory for the Gulf nations, and MEA is monitoring the situation very, very closely. So this is an update on the situation in West Asia and the Gulf region. The Government of India, Ministry of External Affairs says that it is continuously monitoring the evolving situation in West Asia and the Gulf region, especially with regard to the welfare of Indian nationals who have been stranded there during transit or on short duration visits. So here's a list of advisory. All Indian nationals in the region are advised to follow the guidelines of the local authorities as well as the advisories that are being issued by the Indian embassy or consulate in their location. And each of the embassies and consulates in these countries have been issued detailed advisories and set up 24/7 helplines. So the Government of India telling the Indian nationals in the Gulf region that we are monitoring the situation closely, and our embassies are working, our consulates are working round the clock 24/7 to provide you help and assistance, but do follow the advisories of the local authorities as well. Number 3, Ministry of External Affairs has also set up a dedicated special control room to monitor and respond to queries from those affected as well as their families. Following the partial opening of airspace across the region in the last few days, Indian and foreign airlines are operating commercial flights, including non-scheduled flights to enable the return of Indian passengers who were in transit on short term. And as we now know, more than 52,000 Indians have availed of these flights and traveled safely from the Gulf region to India between 1st to 7th of March. 32,000 of the 52,000 have traveled on Indian carriers. More flights are planned in the coming days. So there's a little bit of relief for all those who've been stuck. There are more flights that have been planned. In those countries where commercial flight operations are unavailable, Indian nationals are advised to contact the concerned embassy. So don't take a step on your own. Talk to the authorities, talk to the embassy officials in case you're living in a country where the commercial flight operations are unavailable at the moment. Of course, the government says the safety and welfare of Indian nationals abroad is of utmost priority to the government, which remains engaged with the governments across the region to work towards facilitating all those in need of assistance. With that, we're slipping into a very short break. We'll be back, and of course, our discussion continues.